Hi guys, it's Andy from mcfcfantv, and welcome to. We had a few days off after what happened last time, but anyway, welcome to tonight's live vlog. We're going to be talking about lots of different things. We've got about an hour, so we're going to whiz through some of these. We're going to talk about this season so far. Quick review of squad. What you think is, player ratings, things like that. Player of the year, young player of the year, most improved player, bit about Pep, bit about Caldoon, and then we'll have a quick chat for 10 minutes or so on the England squad. There was a community poll today. I'm sure many of you have been watching the game, but must admit I sort of walked out of the room after they scored, and then it was I didn't see the end of it, but it was still 1-0. It wasn't the greatest game in the world, but anyway, Ross, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, mate. Andy, good to see you. How are you going?
Yeah, I'm good, buddy. Nice top.
Yeah, it's the first time I've wore it since 1999, because obviously I'm at my mum and dad's, so found it in one of my football drawers. My mum and dad have kept every shirt I've ever had, and this one, I think back in the days when you bought a size too big because you wore it over your jumper so you could wear your shoes to the match. So it's big for me.
Nice. It's an absolute classic, isn't it? It is a classic.
Laser blue, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not a kit person, but I do like certain kits and things, and that one in particular. I like the neck. I like the collar. I like the design. I think it's great. But anyway, Ron is on Evening Champions. Yeah, absolutely. Man City 255 is on. Good evening. I do apologise, I'm late. Just had people coming home, my lads coming home from the gym and things like that and wanting to eat, so I had to kick them out. Evening Blues, Charlie's on. Evening SOS, how are you? John Grogan is on. Hello, how are you, mate? Charlie says, it's finished now. Yeah, I know. But I was planning on 9:50, thinking finish just after that, and it ran on and ran on and ran on, unfortunately. Ross says... got a bit of a stall there on mine. Hope I'm coming through all right. Bonjour, everyone. Ronnie says hola. Everyone's sort of talking different languages tonight. Man City fan says Ross salam alaikum. Did everyone see Jimmy Bullard playing for Austria? Who was that?
Not seeing the midfielder.
They were, the one with the blonde hair. Was it the blonde hair one? They were awful, weren't they? I mean, we'll quickly talk about that at the end. England are going to walk the Euros. What?
Is that a joke?
It must be. I did post on social media earlier. Everyone's been going on. How can Trent Alexander-Arnold not be included in the squad, which he obviously is? Well, I posted. You've got Reece James, Champions League winner, Kyle Walker, Premier League and Carabao Cup winner, and you've got La Liga winner in Kieran Trippier, and you've got third place Trent Alexander-Arnold tonight, from what I saw anyway. But anyway, let's see. Anyone else? Yusuf says, what's the point of Lingard playing? Well, I must admit, my wife, obviously, clearly more neutral thinking than I was. I said that to my wife. I said, I can't believe, because she was potting around the kitchen, and I said, I can't believe they're picking players who have not been named in the squad. She went, yeah, but they might be on the reserve list. And I went, right, okay. Yeah, actually, that's a pretty decent point. So maybe that's why they played him. Jean Cartier's on. Hello, everyone. How are you? I'm not eating blue shrimp. They ain't right. Austria press very well. Hello, everyone. Hello. Let's see if there's anybody else who's not. Carl Blundell's on. Hello, everyone. I don't think I'll ever trust again. I'm genuinely gutted. Did speak to... Cam from the Mighty Blues yesterday or this morning, was it? Can't remember, yesterday, and did say to him, what are your thoughts on that? It's a really weird one. And he just said, I just feel absolutely let down. And I must admit, if I was an Everton fan, I'd feel the same way. But it's Real Madrid, isn't it? Come calling. No disrespect, but still, I would really feel let down by that, if I'm honest, Cal. I'll be honest. But anyway, loads of people. So Dudley Lewis is on Hello Blues, and Sean's on Hello England were poor. Godfrey nearly scored no goal and could have beat us with chances there. Yeah, wasn't great. I'll be honest with you. But anyway, I want to say a massive thank you to the patrons for still supporting the channel. I'm not sure what's going to happen. I have been having some thoughts on the Friday Night Social, whether it should be Patreon only. And what I've decided, and I did say this last week, is that I was going to have a long, hard think about whether we do the Friday Night Social as a Patreon only, whether it works or not. It was just one that had the lowest number of views and things. But what I've decided is I'm going to keep it open to everybody who's a subscriber. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 to 3 solely Patreon only transfer news videos during the summer. And they'll be posted for Patreon only. And I might just do a quick edit, maybe 5-6 days later or something like that for the main channel, just recapping over the weeks of transfer news. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the Friday Night Social. The Friday Night Social is going to become, everyone can watch it, but I'm going to do 2 to 3 per week, just solely transfer video only. There'll be probably about 30 minutes each, maybe 40 minutes, and it's going to be all about the latest rumours surrounding transfers, because as we know, it's going to be heavy. It's going to be seriously heavy after what Caldoun said yesterday. So that's my decision. Nobody else's. That's my decision. So a lot of people start saying, "Oh, I miss the Friday Night Social," and this, that, and the other. And it is one of the lowest viewed ones, even though it's on for 3 hours. But I'm gonna make that for everybody, for the subscribers. But I am gonna do 2 to 3 solely transfer rumor videos and player profiles solely for patrons during each week throughout the summer. So hopefully that suits everybody. Everybody's happy then that the Friday Night Social is open for everybody. If not, just send me an email. Give me your thoughts. I'm open to ideas anyway. But anyway, let's crack on with it. Season review. Ross, overall, you've got 2 minutes or a minute to summarise the season so far to this point after the Champions League is finished. So away you go.
Okay, so obviously season was delayed for everyone, pushed back a month. I think we came back, and when we started the season, you could tell that we'd not really prepared that well. And the start was pretty much shocking. And I'd say, keeping in the time, we get to West Brom, something after West Brom. Obviously, before that, we had Diaz coming in the Leeds game, but that wasn't a great game. We got to the West Brom game. They got the draw. He got sacked, probably their best result of the season for West Brom. And then we seemed to click the formation, the way we played, the first 11, and we just seemed to click without having that centre forward. Up until then, I hold my hands up. I think we should have gone out and bought a forward in January. I still think that if we would have bought a forward in January, the season might have even been better than it was. But if you look at it and you jump forward, 2 out of 4, I was disappointed with the FA Cup. I was disappointed with the Champions League, if I'm being really honest. Was it team selection? Yes. Was it players not performing? Yes. Don't think you can put, as we discussed this at the weekend, everyone was blaming Pep did this, Pep did that. But no one mentioned in any of that Pep also won the Premier League and the Carabao Cup and got us to the semi-final and the final. We actually, as a football club, is it 60 games possible?
62. We played 61.
We played 61. Yeah. Now, if anyone thinks that is a bad... Do you know what? Even if we would have lost the Carabao final and we would have just won the Premier League, cup competitions are cup competitions. Anything can happen in that one game, regardless of the games you've won before it. I think I saw a stat today. Our run in the Champions League, I think, is the best ever from an English club of consecutive wins. You look at how many goals we conceded as well in that whole. I mean, phenomenal. We hardly conceded any. And you don't turn up for, and even with everything going on, and so Premier League, brilliant. It's my favourite one. I love the League Cup because as a City fan growing up, that was the only thing that I ever thought City might have the chance of winning. FA Cup I love for the same reason, and because it's the FA Cup, and because it was the first trophy I ever saw City win. Champions League has always been that one. Do I want to win it? Yeah. But do I wake up every season thinking, I really want to win the Champions League? However, even if you look at that game and you talk about tactics and you talk about players, They had one more shot at goal than us. And Pep, in a lot of his interviews, talks about those really fine margins. And it was them fine margins.
Yeah.
They had 2 chances, they took 1. Mahrez's shot in the last couple of minutes, half a yard the other way, it's a goal. Who knows? Ederson doesn't run out, or it hits his hand and he gets sent off. Who knows? Fine margins, amazing season. Was I disappointed? Yes. But if you would have said to me, Andy, at the start of the season on a vlog, hey, Ross, a final, a semi-final, and 2 trophies, whichever ones, are you going to take it? I'd snap your hand off.
If I said to you back on the Friday Night Social back in November, when people were going, we're not going to win the league. There's no chance. This is this, that, and the other, and not Pep out, but there were a few comments at that time, not from presenters, by people in the chats. But if I said to you, we're going to win the Premier League, we're going to win the Carabao Cup, we're going to get to the final of the Champions League and lose 1-0, we're going to get knocked out by the same people in the same team in the semi of the FA Cup, you would have took it back then.
Well, I would have said you were mad, Andy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? At that stage of the season, I mean, where were we? Like, I remember there was a VT on Sky over here and on Optus in Australia saying the race for the title, and they showed like 8 clubs, and City weren't even in it. Like,
I think 12th was the lowest. Yeah. Got at one point for part of a day. We were in 12th, and then we went back to 11th or 12th. I think
it was up until late in December until people were saying, oh, maybe City could go on. We've been written off by everybody.
Yeah. Not me. I said back in November, I said, we'll win the league. I said a treble. And my treble was, I didn't think we'd win the Champions League. I said FA Cup, Carabao Cup, and the Premier League. I didn't think we'd win I was shocked we got to the final of the Champions League, I must admit. But I thought we'd win both domestic cup competitions and the Premier League. I was disappointed with the FA Cup game. Didn't turn up. I was disappointed in the Champions League performance. I mean, I get everybody on here, still having a go at Pep and things like that. Yeah, you can argue the toss over that. But how many times has Pep picked different formations? We've won the game, and nobody complains that they go, well, I can't believe he's picked that because we won. But when we lose, it gets. I just don't think the players turned up. I don't think many. I don't think any. I'll be honest. I don't think any players turned up for that final. It was a poor performance by all the players. The big players in particular didn't really turn up. The ones who've been brilliant, like Gundogan and Foden, and I know they were played slightly out of position, but it is what it is. It's over with. So there's no point in going on about it. But I mean, anybody who thinks that's a disappointing season to win 2 trophies, my lord. And we'll be back stronger next season. We'll be back. We will be back. Neil says overall season 9 out of 10. Only Pep's late tinkering stopped it from being a phenomenal one. Yeah, can't believe people saying Pep out. It's barking mad, absolute barking mad. Ronnie says superb season, no fans, and all the foreign players, and Pep not seeing family for a year so hard. Yeah, yes, it is. To think the amount of work, and I think Khaldoon mentioned that as well in his interview, which was absolutely superb. But anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to go through the players and might not be able to show all your comments because we are time constrained tonight. But I'm going to go through the players. And Ross, I just want you to give me your overall score for them. Some players I might skip who might have had one game and things. I'm not going to review those. I'm going to talk about the main players on there. So if you want to give your score for the season to these players, feel free to pop them in the comments. So let's go through. The first one I'm going to come up with is obviously our goalkeeper, which is Ederson. So what are your thoughts on Ederson?
I mean, you look at the stats and the number of clean sheets and the golden gloves and the goals he set up as well. I think Andy, we probably agree on this one. Great with the ball, great with distribution, but I do think he's a bit suspect when it comes to shot stopping. I don't think that's his strength. And probably as well, the defense was so good in games, and we started so poorly. I'm going to give him a 7.
Okay, that's 7. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, I've said it all along. I think, but I wouldn't change him for any other goalkeeper in the world. Don't get me wrong, I would not, because the way that we play, I do think he's had an amazing defence behind it. Some will say, well, he won the Golden Glove, but I think a lot of that is down to how many shots does he have to save in reality during a game. And you look at some of the shots that you think, could have done better there, should have done better there, really. But there's no doubt in his quality. Absolutely, but he's ideal for this team. He's absolutely, and you know, I personally are quite happy for the mistakes that he makes and things like that, the errors, and sometimes they're absolute brain farts when he comes running out. You think, what are you doing? You take that because that's genius. You know, genius sometimes goes from one scale to another.
I think you also have to throw in as well, Andy, that he missed a few games, and Stefan played a lot of cup games, so. That's where I've gone with the 7, and I thought Stefan did well when he came in. Yeah,
okay. Well, I'll give him an 8. I'm going to go a little bit higher only because we've got to give him something for the Golden Glove, even though I don't think it was down to solely him. I think the defence was so good this season. I'll give him an 8. A couple of people, Malcolm Horner's given him a 7, John Grogan a 7, Sean's given it 9.5. Wow. Andrew W. a 7.5, so does Dudley. So 8, you won't find many who can pass the ball like him, says Ben Cole. Very commanding in the box, wouldn't take anyone else. I totally agree with you. I would definitely not take anyone else. Okay, leading on to the other one then, Stefan.
Yeah, and I mean, for Stefan, it's hard to, it's one of them, and it's like a sub. You know, when you try and rate a sub, I think if you just rate him on the games he played well in, I mean, there was obviously one big mistake, which everyone will probably, which was in a big game. But I'd probably give Stefan, because he'd not been played that much, I'd probably give him a 7.5, because I think he came in and had to deal with a lot of pressure because Edison is so good. And when he came in as well, the defence wasn't that great either. We were still on that journey of going on the run. So I'm going to give him a 7.5.
And I think also when he came in for some of the cup competitions, the team changed, the defence changed, and there were other players. It wasn't our strongest back four. It wasn't the Walker, Diaz, Stones, Zinchenko. Sometimes there was a Mendy there. Sometimes there was a Cancelo, Laporte, or a Garcia sometimes in there. So I agree. I don't think he did anything majorly wrong. I think he looks a good shot stopper. Obviously, I don't think he's at the level with his feet as an Edison, but I'll give him a 7.5 as well. Quite comfortable. Knocking him.
I know that sounds a bit crazy that I've just said Edison 7 and Stefan 7.5.
You only judge it, but you're only judging on the games that they play, because obviously the more games you play, the more chances, the mistakes and things like that. But it's, I'll give Scott Carson a 10 just solely because he's Scott Carson. But let's move on to the defenders. We'll start with Nathan Ake, who's had a bit of a disappointing season through injury and lack of game time, trying to get match fit again. So what your overall honest opinion? And he might be brilliant next season, but this season, to judge him on this season.
Well, if I was rating his haircut, it's a strong 9. I love his hashtag haircut. But I mean, in and out with injuries, really unlucky with brought in because I think a lot of people, and maybe Pet included, thought Stones wouldn't be that strong. And then we signed Diaz as well. And I think on the games, I know on the channel we always say like a 6 is not bad, not amazing.
Average.
Yeah, and I'm going to give Aki a 6.
I totally agree. I'd go definitely with you on that one. That was my thinking on Ake. He's had a couple of good games and he's had a couple of not so great games, but I just don't think he's played enough, if I'm being honest. Jack Lee says 6, Man City says 6, Malcolm Horner 6, Neil Handstock says 7, looked good in his few appearances. Yeah, he had some really good games. Andrew W says 6.5. I think Neil Stephen Dempster gave him a 7. So I'm in that sort of 6-7 bracket. I mean, I could have given right down to me a 6.5, something like that. I just don't think he played enough, and he was just unlucky with injuries. And like you said, spot on. The fact that Stones stepped up and we got Diaz, which was unfortunate. We have to talk about him, and this is going to be interesting. Eric Garcia, because he has played for them this season. So there you go. I'll leave it to you because I'm not going to say anything. Go on.
I'm going to be really open with Garcia. I'm going to give him a 4. And I'm happy for people to debate that and say, and I think that's actually generous. I actually don't know if I've ever seen him have a game in a City shirt where I've gone, wow, he's a great player. And I think when he played this year, he looked shaky, he looked nervous, his passing wasn't good, his positional sense wasn't good, and 335 million buyout clause. Is that like some sort of... No, so I'm giving him a 4, and I think I'm saying I'm giving him a 4 because I just don't want to be rude.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Garcia in the past have some very good games, and even 1 or 2 very good games. Thought he was very good in the games. This season, though, he's really. I tried to stick up for him, and I'm not one for giving a young kid a load of grief because he's leaving to go to Barcelona and whatever else. It is one of those, but I do think if you have to be objective with this, I think he's been poor this season, and. Watch him go on to be an 8 out of 10. He'll be another Ramos or Puyol or someone like that at Barcelona because it's such a slower game and it's so much easier. So good luck to the kid. He's got his move back home and that's it. But I thought he was pretty poor this season.
Still on that, Andy. I still don't know why when we signed Aki, we were always going to sign Aki, and they must have always been looking for another centre half. Why we didn't take 15 million for him is one of those things in the club. And we'll never know.
Yeah, and obviously there was, I think at the time though, was Laporte carrying a niggle. Ake had an ankle injury, if I remember rightly. Maybe Pep was thinking, shit, if we got like Walker was out and then somebody out, we're in a bit of trouble. But we still had Taylor Howard-Bellis. Let's face it, I would rather have seen him this season than Garcia. But it is what it is. But on to somebody who will split opinions. And that's Cancelo, who had a couple, 2 or 3 months there where he was absolutely phenomenal in that inverted 8 role. But then towards the end of the season, he really sort of, the last, 4 or 5 weeks, 6 weeks maybe, he really drifted off and wasn't great. How do you sum up his season?
Oh, I being honest, I never bought into the hype on Cancelo. He did have a few good games. I actually think it was probably 4, where he was like an 8, an 8.5, and in those games, other players weren't up to their normal standards, and he was man of the match. But in those others, like the 5, 6, 7 games, I think he was down at the 6 level. So I think, to be fair to him, because he did play well, this is where I really struggle with ratings, because I gave Edison a 7, and then I feel like by giving Cancelo a 7, I'm saying that he had a good a season as Edison, and I don't think he did. But I think just because he had that purple patch, I'm going to give him a 7.
Yeah, well, I mean, Ronnie makes a point here, which is fair enough. 7, remember Jim Whitley explained his being moved to left back, and I do think you have to give him a bit of credit because he has been flexible, and at times he was okay in that left back role. And he's been flexible playing on the right, on the left, and also playing in that false 8. And I don't want to keep harping back to the fact that I've always said he's not a natural right back. He just simply isn't. He didn't play that at Juve. He just simply didn't. And I never thought he would be brilliant as a right back. He's just too attacking minded. But played in that false 8 role, I thought he was wonderful when he played in that role. And maybe I'm being a bit harsh because he then got reverted back to a right back. But I thought we bought him as a right back.
Yeah, me too.
And Pep converted him into that false 8 role and things. So yeah, I'd agree. I'd say a 7 overall for the season. He started off a bit slow, but then he had that sort of golden period for 2-3 months where he was really, really good, and then sort of went back off the boil. But hopefully he stays, and next season Pep can use him in that 8 role where possible. Which leads me on to my next one, which is going to be interesting because it's somebody who has had a real in and out season, and that's Aymeric Laporte, injury wise, and obviously been available but not really been picked since he's come back. Now we don't know the inside track on how fit he really is and all of that type of thing. So how would you rate Laporte?
Yeah, I mean, very similar to Aki in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I think he's come in and he's done well, but again, he looks shaky. And I don't think that's down to him. He's a great player.
Yeah, he's a very good player.
Match practice, obviously seeing Diaz and Stones, that must be a shock to you as well, because let's face it, he was our number one centre-back this time last year. Yeah. But based on the games he's played and the games he's come in, I'm probably going to go a little bit more. And this is not, I'm not saying Laporte's not a good player. He definitely is. But based on the games, I'm going to say a 6.5. I give that Aki a 6. I'm going to give Laporte another 0.5 because I think that they've had a very similar season.
I agree. I mean, yeah, I pretty much agree with what you said there. It has been a very frustrating season for Laporte, considering he's done it at City. He was so good the season before and everything else. And, you know, he's been brilliant. And then this season has been a real stop-start season. For somebody who is left-footed, can fit into that role with Diaz or Stones very well. Then got the injuries and then came back and then they got another injury and it was all just a little bit. I'm hoping he stays because he's an exceptional player, really is. But I don't think he's not really had much game time, really, to see it. So Charlie says, Cancelo was brilliant in our winning run, but a 7 is very harsh. I'd give him an 8.5. Wow, that puts him right up with some of my best players. Not sure about that. He then goes on to say, Ilkay Gundogan was the same. Brilliant for 2 months, so does he get a 7? I don't know about 2 months with Gundogan. I think more 4 or 5 months. I agree with the sentiment, but I mean, you can't. He's our top scorer.
Yeah. I don't think you can even compare Gundogan and Cancelo seasons.
Yeah, no, I don't think you can. 7, 7, 7, 7, 7s, 8.5. Finally playing well again, says Neil. 6s, 7s. Scored a winner in the Carabao Cup. I can't remember a lot he did wrong. I think deserves a 0.5. So we're around that. 6s, 6.5, 7s, thereabouts. It's all subjective. Right, moving on to the next one, which we'll see what the next one comes out with, and will he be here after the summer? And that's Benjamin Mendy.
Oh, well, again, like, to be fair to him as well, he's injured, didn't play a lot. I thought he had a couple of good games actually, where he got, I think on the channel we rated him quite highly. The comments as well, but I hate to do it because I've backed him as well. But I think if I'm giving people like Aki a 6, Mendy's probably got to have a 5 this year. I think he's not had enough good games to bring him up.
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't think he's had. Is that, like you said, a couple of times we've been on air on post matches and stuff like that. Going, he's had a couple. He was good today, and he was this, that, and the other. It was very far and few between ones. And I know he's not played an awful lot, but we can only judge him on the games that he's played, and some of them were awful. Really awful, and some of them were average, and a couple were okay. But I don't know. Tyrone thinks he's a 5, so does Ronnie. Queen versus King says Mendy a 3, Malcolm 5, Man City 4, Mendy 5, Mendy 4. He deserves better than Garcia, so a 5, says Ben. Mendy 5, says Michael. Mendy 3, sorry, yeah. Mendy 6.5, poor guy. At times he looks good, but injuries are killing him. I totally agree with that comment, Neil. Totally agree. Yeah, it's one of those. It is what it is. My question to you while I'm typing up the next one would be, will he be here in the summer?
I think the club would like to sell and probably recoup some money.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be the club to either decide to release him and come to a deal with him, or for someone to come in, because I just can't see someone taking a risk on him because of his injuries.
That's the problem, isn't it? That's the problem we've got. It's like, who's going to pay? Imagine if we don't take 15 million for Garcia in the final year of his contract, what are we going to get for Mendy? This is the thing. But I do think this summer City are going to sell. I think they're going to sell big.
I mean, Andy, a player like Mendy, though, what they might do is he might go on loan and they might say, we'll pay 50% of his wages.
Yeah, they could do. And then you with a guarantee, you buy him at the end of this year or something like that.
Yeah.
get part of his wages off. Well, anyway, let's move on from him to somebody who was. We'll talk about Player of the Year next, but Ruben Diaz.
Oh, don't like to rate Delicious as a singular, but I think in the last probably 5 games, Andy played more. He did become not head and shoulders, but separate, because I thought the two of them, and we'll go on to Stonesy later, but I'm pretty stingy on my ratings. I never like to get up there, but I think because of the ones I'm giving, I think you've got to give him a 9. And I know we're talking about Player of the Year later, but because of some of the other ratings I've give and I'm going to give since coming in, I mean, even that Leeds game, which wasn't great, and even he looks a bit like, wow, this is the Premier League. But by the end of that game, he was like, right, I know I'm going to have to step it up here. And he's just a class act. And I made it, I think, on one of the streams a few weeks ago, I made a big call, and I think he will be better than some of the best centre-halves we've ever had if he stays fit.
I think he could go up there as if he continues, and we don't know because it only takes a bad injury and everything could fall apart in a year or two. But if he continues at the progress at his age that he is, my God, he's got 10 more years at the top. Very, very top. He could be 33 and still be. I mean, look at Ramos and all the top players. They could be 34, 35, no problem whatsoever. He's got 10 years. He's got another 5 years before they say centre backs get into their real prime. I think he could end up, if he stays at City, if he stays in the Premier League, if he continues his progress, he could be one of the best centre backs ever in the Premier League. I mean, he's got exceptional leadership qualities. I mean, my question to you would be, could you see us winning the Premier League, Carabao Cup and getting to the final of the Champions League this season without him?
No, because it wasn't just him and his performances. He's had a holistic effect on the defence, the team
as a whole. Yeah.
That just is, like he's a captain, isn't he? Without being the captain, he's a leader. He's a leader on the pitch. And I think when people say when you've got a good team, yes, he's someone with an armband, but there's another 5 or 6 leaders on that pitch.
Yeah.
And we actually have got a few. I think De Bruyne is.
Yeah, I do.
I think we've got Fernandinho. I think Kyle Walker steps up in certain times.
I agree.
And I think we've actually got quite a few, but there's no doubt. I know people want him to be the captain right now, but there's not actually any rush. We've got De Bruyne, and he's doing a good job as well. Just let him do what he's doing. He will be the captain. Let's face it. I think the biggest risk for City here is because he's Portuguese, and now I'm going to say people will go, well, they're not in Portugal, but a club like Real Madrid, in 3 or 4 years, if he keeps playing,
especially if Pep goes.
Yeah, mega money.
A new manager comes in and it's not quite the same, and he might want another challenge and all that type of stuff. Then the dynamics might change. So we're not saying he'll be staying at City for the next 10 years, but he potentially could. But if Pep has another 2 more years and then decides, right, I'm going to go manage, or I'm going to not manage, I'm going to take 2 years off, and another manager comes in that isn't that player orientated and not inspiring enough for the likes of Diaz, who might be in 2 years' time right at the top of his game, he might decide enough's enough, and you're going to have everyone, Barca, Real, everyone sniffing at him. I'm sure they would now. Put it now. If City around said, we don't want Diaz this summer and put him on the market, you will get every single club in world football after this season's performance going, how much do you want?
They're going to have to give him a new contract, aren't they, next year already? Yeah,
they're going to, which is what they always do. They'll look at after this year, and it won't be surprising in the summer. They go, we're going to give you another 5 years, another 6 years, or we're going to sign you. It's that way City work. They did it with Bernardo when he had that brilliant season. They went, right, here's another 5-year contract. Get it signed. We want to keep you because that's what you want. You want them signed to a long-term contract. So people are sort of going 10s and 9s and 9.5s and mainly 9.5, 9s, 10s, whatever. I mean, it's just phenomenal. It's been absolutely brilliant. So yeah, for me, I mean, he's right up there. I won't give him a score, but he is in that area. Which leads us on to his partner, his other delicious partner, somebody this season has really stepped up, and that's John Stones.
Yeah, I think Stones is up there for one of our most consistent, most improved, best performers of the season since that run started. He was part of that. It was Diaz, but I actually thought at times Stones complemented Diaz really well, and I'm going to give Stones 8.5. I thought he had so many doubters. He had fans on his back, pundits on his back. We know he had personal issues out of football, which we don't know what they were, but we know he had some issues. I think Pep didn't fancy him. Apparently he was touted around to other.
We lost him there.
Oh yeah, everyone went there.
Hello, sorry.
I'm going to go 8.5. I think he had I'm well done, John Stones, because there's nothing better than seeing a player who I think we all knew had it. And I really hope he has a great Euros because he deserves it.
He's been, I agree with your comment there. The fact that he's been ultra consistent. Yeah, he's had the odd game in towards the end there, the last game. The Chelsea game and a couple of others. He's been okay. But overall, he's been a super 7.5, 8 every single game. He's been really ultra consistent, and it's brilliant. I mean, you think if we got rid of him, we probably might have got 25, 30 million for him. After this season, he's back up to a 60, 70 million pound player if you want to sell him. If Harry Maguire is 85 million, John Stones is similar. He's similar. He's right up there. I'm not saying he's going to be 85 in this climate, but
he's a better footballer than Harry.
He's a better footballer. I agree. Right. Stephen much prefers Laporte. 8 gets lots said. Diaz improved him, but had a lot of wife issues all sorted out now. Yeah, thank God. 7.5. He'll be a one-season wonder, says Stephen Dempster. We'll wait and see. 8.5 says Ben. 8.5 says Scott. 9.5 brilliant says Charlie. So he's gone above your 9 for Diaz. There you go. Right, on to the next one, which is our right back this year, our main right back, who I think has had a very, very solid season yet again. He's been ultra consistent since we signed him, and that's Kyle Walker.
Yeah. Walker's up there for me. I mean, during that Cancelo, everyone loves Cancelo, I was a big supporter at Walker. I still think not only is he the best right back in our squad, he's the best right back in the Premier League.
I agree.
And he will be the lad who lines up against Croatia. I mean, if you watch the England match tonight, Andy, you touched on it. Why everyone's going on about that lad ahead of Walker is beyond me. And I'm going to give Walker 8.5, the same as Stones, because I think, again, he had a lot of media. The media jumps on him, all right. He's not the whitest of the white blokes. He does things wrong. He's still a relatively young lad with a lot of money. Makes mistakes, but I tell you what, when he goes over that white line, you'd think nothing in his life's going on.
Yeah,
he's just ultra consistent. Mentioned it before, he's a leader. Looks like the players love him. I mean, some of the comments he's made about Aguero and Aguero vice versa, and that's not a natural thing. I wouldn't have said, Walker and Aguero are best mates. It's just, but obviously he's a likeable northern lad. You see it. I've been watching a lot of the England videos with him and players, and even the other players who don't play for City seem to really like him. But I think a lot of that's respect for how he plays. I mean, not many players his age are still bombing up and down that line. And I think Pep's a massive backer of him as well. So 8.5. And I think he's actually been very unlucky at City in the respect of there's always been like a De Bruyne, a Silva, a Bernardo with a great season, a Diaz this year. In any other team, he'd be picking up players of the year.
He is right. I'll be honest with you, and I'll be honest right now before we move on to the others. When I talk about impact in a team, he is. You've got Diaz. I mean, I have to put Diaz at the top of the list, and I think everybody will. I think Stones is pretty close, but for me, for impact on the team this season, I would have Diaz, Walker, and Stones with Gundogan That'd be mine anyway.
Well, that's pretty much what my last 3 ratings have been.
That's how high I think it just ultra consistent.
Big breaking news here, Andy.
What's that?
Julio, good job. Chris Baker's not on. But Walker, so Julio, maybe let us know. You can only pick one: Chris Baker or Kyle Walker.
Scott says 8.5 Mono Pro, pure commitment, always leaves 100% of his shirt. 9, Mr. Reliable, says Tyrone. Mr. Consistent, says Charlie, 8.5. Ronnie says the same, 8.5. So does Dudley. 9, says Jack Lee. Sean's 8.5. Malcolm's an 8.5. Neil's a 9. Gets better with age. I agree with that comment. I think he gets... Oh, Chris Baker. It's Chris Baker all day. There you go. Chris is busy with work stuff, so hopefully he's watching it, having a laugh somewhere. But anyway... That's Kyle Walker. Right, moving on to somebody else who I think has had a very, very good season. Some dodgy game, but overall it's been very ultra consistent, and that's Zinchenko.
Yeah, Zinny, again, a lot of doubters, I suppose, came in, done a job. I think he's one of them players like Delph a few years ago. I want to win things. I want to play, so I'm not going to kick up a fuss. I'll play wherever. But I actually think he's becoming a really good fullback, and I think that's probably where he'll end up staying. You know, maybe not an international level, but that's probably because of his nation as well. Yeah. But I think if he wants to stay in the City team, let's face it, he's going to have to be a left back, and I'm going to give him a 7.5 for this season.
Yeah, I agree. I would say around about an 8, 7.5 to an 8, or 7 to an 8. Not sure quite which one, but we've got others. 11 all day, 8s and 8s and 8s, 9s, says Jack Zinco, 8.5, making left back look easy, which is something we never said last season, was it? But anyway, for time purposes, we're going to have to sort of like skip on, and we're going to move on to somebody who I'm devastated for, who we still don't know, does he need surgery? And Roberto Martinez was absolutely furious about the challenge from Rudiger on him, and that is Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah, Kevin's been good. He's always good, let's face it. I think in some games...
Mixed bag?
Yeah, in some games he's been a 9, and in some games he's been a 7. And in some games, I think even before the injury the other night, there was flashes of Kevin, but then I agree. How it's still not, I mentioned it on Saturday after the game, Andy, to you about the mask cause. It was a bad foul and he had a mask on. Nothing's been said other than Martinez. They didn't even re-show it. Terrible injury. I'm going to give Kevin, and probably might get shot down a bit here, but I think his season this year is somewhere between a 7 and a 7.5.
Yeah, I'm similar to Zinchenko. I'm a 7 to an 8 somewhere. I can't make my mind up with him. I think he's been mainly consistent for most of the season, and we're talking about we have to talk about this. We're talking about Kevin De Bruyne terms.
Yeah,
exactly. Another team, you would go, he's an 8 all day. He's an 8 all day. But this season, I think he's just been at a level below what he's been in the previous 2 seasons, and he's had a couple of niggles, a couple of injuries, and a couple of so-so games. But then we have seen the absolute genius, and I'm no.
And this is the thing, isn't it, Andy? Like you've hit the nail on the head for me. That's my rating basis. What's he normally like? What's he done this season? Some of our players in other teams would get 8, 9, 10s every week.
Yeah.
If I go on this when you ask me, every player's an 8 or a 9. It's like, It's not right. And that's why I'm thinking about who's my best player, which I've already give the rating out. No one's going to beat that. And where Kevin is, and like you. So I'm at 7.5.
Yeah, I'd go for that. I think it's been, I think Neil says here, he says an 8.5, a stop-start season, but still great. I wonder how Chelsea would do against 90 minutes of Kev. Yeah, it has been a stop-start season for him because he's had a couple of niggles and came back and then wasn't quite right and then had another week off and then and even in games sometimes he's not been at his levels, but then we've seen him play. You know, I mean, you take him all day long just for 2 or 3 of his passes per game, wouldn't you? I mean, it's something. He regularly makes those passes. There's very rarely you watch Kevin De Bruyne in a game and go, well, he was quiet, he didn't do anything.
I think the mark of the player is, I don't think De Bruyne would mark himself any higher than
probably not
for this year.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not. Which might spur him on for next season, but let's hope he does. But anyway, let's move on to the next one. Let's get through these. We're not going to mark him. We're going to mark somebody who we still don't know is staying or not, and that's Dad's Army. We're on to Ferner.
I'm going to give Ferner. I'm going to give him a 7. I know that's probably going to absolutely surprise everyone on the vlog because of the way I back him. But again, games played, what he's done, he's just been Ferner. He is just a 7/8 player week in, week out. Doesn't ever dip below a 7. Sometimes goes above it, and he just does what's on the tin. And he just had a decent, above average season.
Yeah, I'm the same, and I'm surprised actually now when you're talking about yours, and I'm thinking of mine, and I'm thinking so many of these players, I'm going 7 to an 8. I'm not sure 7 or an 8 or maybe going between. They're just somewhere in between, and I think you're right in what you said there. Ferner rarely ever drops below a 7. I mean, he might make a mistake, and you might go, "I'm going to knock you a point off for that," but then he's been brilliant for the rest of the game, and so I will give him an 8, but I've knocked him a point off because of that stupid mistake or something he's made. But he's rarely a 6 or a 5. God, give this guy another 18 months for me and just get him on the coaching staff. I want him around City. I want him around the squad because of who he is. He's just an absolute, still for me, the best. People are arguing now going, well, N'Golo Kante, and because of his performance in the Champions League. Yeah, he did have a great game. He did. In hindsight, I've watched the game back. He did have a really, really good game. But I'd still take Ferner in my team every day of the week. But anyway, on to somebody who really come alive. I nearly wrote Ferner again, but it is. I'll have to write his true name, and that is
Charlie. I don't believe Kante is better than Fernandinho. You keep asking me on the comments.
I don't either. Yeah, I don't either. Over a season, no, I don't think he is. I think he had a better game in the Champions League without a shadow of doubt. But if you said to me now, would you swap Kante for Fernandinho for 1 year? No, I'd keep Fernandinho. Not only for what he does on the pitch, but what he does off the pitch as well, personally. But that's not decrying Kante. Kante is he's
a great player. Great player.
Yeah. Anyway, we're on to the Stockport Iniesta.
I'm giving him 8. I think he's had a really good season. But I don't think, for me, obviously he's younger, he's broke through, great season. I'm just so looking forward to what he's going to do next year.
Just to let you know, Charlie's going Rodri, Andy. What about Rodri? I'm going through the City squad, so I'm not going defensive midfielders. I'm just going through the whole squad. So I will come to those players. I've not missed them out. I will come to the players. I'm not missing them out. Don't worry. I didn't think I'm going to miss it. I will come to them. I promise.
Like I've said through my ratings, if I give Diaz a 9. That is obviously that's where my top is, guys, tonight. Yeah. So I'm not saying he didn't, but I can't get this logic of every player is a 9. For me, Foden, great season. And I think a lot of that 8 as well that I'm giving him was the back half of the season because he really kicked on. I was one of the big thing when we were going through that drought. He wasn't playing enough for me, and look what happened. We put him in and he played really well. Hope again, he has a great Euros. I think he'll actually benefit from that, and hopefully stays fit, but he'll benefit from playing again in top level football like the Champions League. But for me, it was an 8. I actually think he had a better season than De Bruyne, but he didn't have a better season than Diaz, so that's why he's bang in the middle.
Yeah, I'd go with definitely. I'd go spot on with that. I'd go with an 8 as well. I think he's been very, very good, and his lighting is spot on. I totally agree with you, Andy. We have to have Werner 7.5. David Walsh gives him a 9. 9 turns up in big games. 8.5 did turn up in the Champions League final. I'll be honest with you, it wasn't great in the Champions League final. But I'll forgive every player because it is what it is. It's cup competition. Didn't turn up. Everyone did turn up on that night. But I think overall in the season, I agree. Stephen Dempsey says an 8. 9 says Charlie. First proper season City went above and beyond. I agree with that comment as well. But I wouldn't probably give him a 9. But I mean, everyone's got their opinions. I'd say he's had a very, very solid season. And wow, let's see what he's going to be like next season. After him comes... oh, don't worry, I will come to Rodri, but I'm not coming to Rodri just yet. It's going to be this guy. I'm just going the order of the squad, and that's Mr. Whippy.
Mr. Whippy. Mr. Whippy is an 8 for me. I think, again, probably close to his best season for City. I think the other couple of years ago, he was really good as well. I think, again, he dropped off at the end of the season. I think, obviously, he really stepped up when KDB was injured. Again, I think he had a better season than KDB for his sort of rating. But
he was important. He scored important goals for us.
Goals and played well. And but for me, again, didn't break into that top 2 players for me in the season.
Yeah, I'd go with an absolute solid 8. I thought he was very, very good this season. Again, not at the best. All right, he might have been our top goal scorer, but certainly there were times in the season where he went a few months where he was okay. You give him a 6.5, 7. But then the latter half of the season, he's mainly been exceptional, and let's face it, top goal scorer, been brilliant, and some very, very important goals for us this season. I think he's been brilliant, and maybe that's been his downfall. Maybe that's why Pep went to him, going, "I know you can play in that CDM role and keep the ball moving." It didn't work, but it is what it is. I think he had a really good season. It's in the nominees for the Player of the Season in the Premier League. So. That shows you what good season he's had. Dudley Lewis did 8, Gundo 9, his best City season. Sean thinks it's an 8.5. 100% Jack. 8.5 says Scott dragged the team in with his goals when KDB was out. Shane Pep didn't play where he should have been when it counted at the end. Yeah, agree with that. Right, let's move on to him. This is the player people want to ask about, and that is Rodri.
I think for me, like he plays, there's not a lot to say. I think he did okay, above average 7. There's nothing for me that I'm like, wow, Rodri, like he just does a job. And I think he's a young lad, and I think he will be, he is consistent. I don't believe he's in the same class as Fernandinho, but that's who is.
Do you think he's going to be one of these players that might need more than one season in the Premier League and really sort of grow into the role?
Yeah, I think he is. I think it's a bit of a sitting on the fence, I suppose, answer to that. But he's one of them. If it doesn't really take off for him next year, I think he'll go. And we've had a lot of that player.
We have. Yeah, I agree.
So for me, he was. I think his pace. That's because of how young he is. He's not that quick, which worries me in that position a little bit. If he was older, I'd say, well, he's 30, he's 31.
Well, it was interesting because I watched about 65 minutes of the England game until they scored, and then I sort of got a bit bored of it. It was like pulling teeth. It was one of those. Because I'm good. We wanted to talk about England. Maybe we might move the England stuff to the Friday Night Social because we're more interested in City. I watched Declan Rice tonight, and I just thought he's so much quicker and agile than Rodri. You know, when he gets beat, he gets his arm, he gets his body in the way, and he can fight his way back and even recover. I just sometimes think when Roger gets beat, that's it. It's almost like he gives up.
Yeah, and it's not always about being the quickest, is it? It's about how quick your mind is, and it makes you look quick.
Which is why Fernandinho is so good.
Yeah.
Situational awareness is exceptional on the pitch. He's only young, and I think I'm more than happy to give him another year or so.
Yeah, he's don't get me wrong. But again, he'd probably walk into most teams in the Premier League.
Yeah.
We're at a different level, and I think sometimes as well you can see like the De Bruyne's looking, God, he's lost. You know, give it me quicker, or why have you gone?
I've seen him have some really, really good games this season.
Oh yeah.
I mean, for me, the golden question is. Well, here's a question for you. Charlie mentioned it before. If Fernandinho doesn't sign a contract, would you take Kante at City next season or Rodri?
Well, Kante all day long.
Right, there you go. Would you take Declan Rice at City next season or Rodri?
I'd take if Fernandinho stays and we had a chance of getting Declan Rice, I'd sell Rodri.
There you go. So that's sort of where we're at on his performance this season. And I think sometimes you have to add in a few other elements to just he's a 7 or he's a 7.5 or he's a 6 or is this and the other. You have to sort of look at his season and go, has he done enough to go, oh, definitely got to keep him that season? Or we do the City fan thing where we go, oh, give him another year, give him another year, give him another year. Sometimes maybe City fans are a little bit over-optimistic about how a player might develop in the future. You know, sometimes you might have to look at a player and go, has he done it for you? Has he really done it for you this season? You go, not really, but he's only young. Give him another year. And sometimes that year is even worse than the previous year. And we've seen that at City.
And the thing is, Andy, we're in that elite where sometimes you can't give him another year. You've either done it.
Well, this is the thing. This is why I think this summer, I think Pep's going to be ruthless. I think Calhoun and the board are going to be ruthless this season. I do. And now I'm not saying some of the players like Sterling and everyone else Mahrez is going like the Athletic and everyone else is playing. But I do think they're going to be ruthless with certain players and go, we need this, we need this, we need.
Well, if those two do go, they're not going for 80 million for both of them. So that is just like where that figure's come from is.
Yeah, it's garbage. It's nonsense. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. That was Rodri. We said Rodri. Right, let's move on to. I'm not going to go through like Felix Lemaitre and Cole Palmer and everything else. And this one I'm going to do very quickly because we're going to do a bit of a thing on the Friday Night Social this week on this guy because we haven't sort of lauded him enough for me so far in the last week. But that's Sergio Aguero, and you'll have to be brutally honest on his season considering he's hardly played.
Oh, it's got to be a 10. No, this is. I mean,
it's hard, isn't it? Because he's hard.
I mean, when he's played, he's done all right. If you rate him on individual games, like the Everton game, but it's got to be a 6, hasn't it? Like you can't.
One or the other. Really.
I'm going to be as kind as I can. The Man City Fan TV and the presenters, we talk about 6 being bang on average.
Yeah. Right, okay, we're going to move on because we're going to do something on Sergio on Friday Night Social. But anyway, on to somebody interesting, Bernardo Silva.
Easy one for me, this 7. Just my views on him, had some great games, had some really poor games, disappeared. But he's a fan's favourite because he runs around a lot. His stats don't back up what fans say. And I don't think he had. I'd say it's up there with one of his poorest seasons for City.
Well, Charles says, "What's your rating, Andy, on Aguero?" I'm not always giving ratings out. It's more about what you guys think and Ross thinks. I'd give Aguero a 5 if I was being honest. I don't think he was great in some of the games. Scored those 2 goals, which were just typical Sergio. And I would have scored him a 9. I don't know what we gave him for that game, but a 9 or whatever. But yeah, just the fact that he kept getting injured all the time and Yeah, not really great. And I'll be honest with you, Bernardo Silva gets a 6 for me this season. I think he's had a very average season, very average. One or two great. Well, put it this way, I always look at it when I mark him over the season. Somebody who's in an attacking role and a really, really offensive or defensive or working. I don't think I've given him man of the match the whole season.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's one of his poorest seasons for City. I don't think
works hard, but I don't creativity and creatively wise. I don't think he's had a great season. I'll be honest with you, but that's why.
Assists.
I'll give him a 6 for me. Yeah. Not great, not poor, just an average. For one who 18 months ago got Player of the Season, I don't think it's been.
Again, maybe a controversial comment, but if we are looking to do things in the squad and we could get a lot of money for certain players, he would be one that.
Is one of the names on the list, apparently. So, right, somebody else who had came in and was a real in and out player, and that was Ferran Torres.
Yeah, again, I thought did really well in certain games. In other games, I think we spoke about it on the channel, didn't step up. When everyone went on the side of Pep picked the wrong team, Pep did this. These were the same players, and Torres was one of them who fans were going, he was scoring at the start of the season, why doesn't he get to play more? And then he plays him, he doesn't play well, and it's, why has Pep picked him? And I think that's the debate we always have. I think, again, for me, he didn't do anything really bad, but then he didn't really wow me, and it's a 7.
Yeah, I'd probably go, I don't know, 6 to a 7. Overall, he's a young kid. He's a baby. He's got his same age as Foden. You've got to look at it from that perspective. I think he scored some great goals. He looks definitely like he's got massive potential, and it probably a player that, like Foden, needs a run of games, consistently. Whether that's going to be at City, right now, I'm not too sure. I'll be honest with you, but let's move on to the next one. Somebody else who's been spoken about as potentially going in a swap deal for Harry Kane. That was Gabriel Jesus.
Well, everyone knows my comments on Gabby. I don't think he's an out-and-out striker. I don't think he professes to be, and I don't think Pep says he is. But as a number 2, I think he's as good as they come, and his stats prove that. Season overall, again, mixed bag for him. But then again, he was the one who missed out quite a lot. But then when he came on and his attitude was good, but again, season overall, just above average, a 7.
Yeah, I'd go 6.5 to a 7. It's hard, isn't it? It's really hard because, you want a player like Gabby to get a run of games, but he gets like 2 or 3 and then suddenly bang, he's out the team and we play false 9 and he must be looking at it going, Aguero's out and I can't get it in the 9 role and I can't get in on left wing now because Foden's in there and it's all a little bit disjointed. He's still very young as a striker or a left winger. I do think he's a good utility player. He is somebody who works hard and can create problems. But I think with the way the pandemic's going, if the rumours, and these are only rumours and they might be absolute nonsense, if it is a cash plus Gabby for Harry Kane, I can see that very tempting for Man City. I really can. Whether Gabby would want to, imagine, he might want to move to London. Let's face it.
It'd be very interesting on that, Andy.
He'll have a lot of Brazilians in the London.
Yeah, in the current market. Area. What's Gabby's value?
I have absolutely no idea. I couldn't put a figure on it. Honestly, he's one of those players. I couldn't put a figure on it. I really couldn't. It could be anything from 30 million to 75 million. I've no idea. I've got absolutely no idea.
I just feel like we'll get absolutely rinsed in an exchange deal. It'll be like, we want 150 million for Kane, and Gabby. And I just feel like it'll be like, what?
Yeah, I can't see him doing that. It might be 100 plus Gabby. It might be something like that. But then you put him Kane into 150 million bracket, and I've always said I don't think in this climate 150 million. I think 90 to 100 million. So I would say 60 million cash plus Gabby would be a good deal for Levy. Whether he'll take that, God knows. Who knows? Ross, it's 54 million. Gabriel Jesus value. 54. Wow, well, where have you got that one from?
Is that on the nose or is
right
that
on the nose?
Right.
Is it not 54.1 million? Who knows? I mean, that's what some website will say. He's currently in transfer market. He's worth 54 million quid, but
because someone wrote it on like their Twitter page, and then
I don't know. But I mean, yeah, it's one of those. I think it's a hard one. It's on the nose. There you go. I don't know, Charlie. I've no idea. He's one of those that I'm really not sure how much it cost. I'm really not.
Well, I'm going to take Stephen Dempster's 80 million.
80 million, yeah. It was transfer market. There you go. So I was right. That's where it came from. Right, moving on to our next one, which was we've got two more to go. Riyad Mahrez this season.
So again, probably some of his best games for the club, especially his second half of the season. However, the start wasn't great, and I think he's still flattered to deceive in a few games. I'm going to give played well, but I think we still expect more of him. I'm going to give him a 7.5.
I'd give him an 8. I'll be honest with you. I'd go a little bit higher, just a touch higher. I'd give him an 8. I think he's had a 10th season overall. I know he had an average start, but I think he's been fairly consistent from, December time through to now. He's had the odd dodgy game and Champions League final. I thought he was garbage, but I think overall, I think his level. I'm trying to compare it to his level last season, which I thought was rubbish. I think he's really stepped up. I think his defensive, play, even though it didn't happen in the Champions League final, coming back, tracking back, I think that's definitely improved. Is he? My big worry about Riyad Mahrez this summer is at an age now where City might look at him, Pep might look at him, the board might look at him and go, are we going to get 2 more really, really 7.5, 8 out of seasons per season out of him, or should we cash in now? Does he want to move?
I think he's another one of those players who probably wants to move now.
I think is it at that age of can I get a big signing on fee? Can I make another big move? Now I've won the Champions, I've won the Premier League, I've won the Carabao, I've won loads of trophies at Man City. I'm still a pedigree player. Maybe in a slower league where I might get more time to play a bit deeper. I might, with Spain or somewhere like that.
I could see him signing for PSG.
Or PSG, something like that where I can really shine amongst the superstars.
He's French speaking as well, isn't he?
Yeah. So I would not be surprised one iota. And another player that, I don't know how long he's got this contract. Is it 2 years? How much would we get for him? You'd have to say a player like him must be 50 million quid.
Yeah, I was going to say 60, 70.
Yeah, they're about. You've got to be looking at. So when you start adding up all these players, you think, well, hold on a minute, we want to buy this, want to buy that. Suddenly we're talking about potentially 150 million pounds worth of players here that we know we could realistically get into the club. And let's say that buys a Harry Kane. That's without getting rid of a Gabby in an exchange and things like that. So, you could exchange others and you swap deals and things like that. But I think Riyad Mahrez is one of those. It's going to be a big season. The thing is will the club offer him an additional contract? And I think he could be the one this summer that he might angle for a move because it'll be his last big 5-year contract.
Maybe he would be maybe a Tottenham or an Arsenal.
Might suit them. Yeah, might suit. Yeah, might be. It might be like a big name signing. He's come from a multiple Premier League winner.
Mahrez value coming through 37.8. Is that £37.80 or is? Oh,
yeah, it is. It's put million. Yeah, that's transfer market as well. I think I don't know if you let me just as a point here. Phil Foden transfer market, because I use transfer market for stats and things like that. Well, I mean, here's the thing. I'm not showing it you, so I won't say anything. Phil Foden, if he went on the market to the highest bidders in world football, how much would you say he'd be?
Well, based on the last two, this is what I'm gonna try and guess transfer market.
No. I'm saying if honest, not transfer market.
Oh.
If Phil Foden went on the market and Pep said, "Don't want Phil Foden anymore," went on the market tomorrow around the world, when you think of the likes of Dembele,
200 million.
Yeah, transfer market have him at 72 million. He's 13 million less than Harry Maguire.
And he can fit inside Harry Maguire's
head. But yeah, transfer market just do the overall thing. No, transfer market's a great site. It is a great site.
Maybe there's one for a show, Andy, on the transfer news. Yeah. What's the difference between what a player went for and the transfer market?
Yeah, maybe we should look at that. Maybe do a bit of research on that. But no, transfer market is good for player profiles and games and goals and everything else. But I always look at their transfer things and thinking, what? How much? Get lost. There's no way that. But anyway, we've got Mahrez. What did you give Mahrez? Can't remember.
Give him a 7.5.
7.5. I gave him an 8. I thought he had a good season. Which leads us on to one last player. It's going to be controversial. He rounds up the last of the players, and that's Raheem Sterling.
Well, God, me and you are the ones. We'd probably get away with it tonight, Andy. But I thought he started great, and I actually thought in a poor start to a season, he was up there with one of our best players. Looking at his goals, his stats, his contribution, and then as everyone knows, the last third of the season, for whatever reason, he lost form. He wasn't getting in the team. But if you look at the season as a whole, I'm giving him a 7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd probably give him a 6.5 to a 7, there or thereabouts. I can't mark other players down and then not him. And I'm a Sterling fan, as you know. We're Sterling fans. I don't think he's been great in the last 2 months. I think the last 2 months he's been poor. I think the last 3 months he's been the month before. But then he's had, still his goals and assist stats are brilliant. Really, really good for a winger. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's wrong with him. Don't know what's happening. There's obviously something going on in the background, or he's lost his agent and he's gone on his own and things like that. I don't know whether, from a psychological point of view, is he got nobody by his side that can be, that word in his ear, or I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see how it gets on with England in the Euros.
And this is the thing, Andy, isn't it? So we're rating it on being in a great team, looking at his past performances, what he can do. And even, the 6.5 to the 7 between me and you, he's still, and I know I was sharing a lot on Twitter last week, he's still got stats that without him, we wouldn't achieve what we did. So I think we're rating against his standards.
Ronnie says here, and it's something that me and you have said on many times on the Friday Night Social when we talked about it, 7.5, great start to the season, missed having Aguero making room for him in the box. We've said it so many times, haven't we, throughout the season? He needs a striker. Now, I'm thinking, you've got Harry Kane in there.
Yeah, no, that's a great point.
And let's face it, only prior to the last few weeks, or pre the last England international, it was all Sterling and Kane. 2 best players for England. They're going to be and then suddenly we've had nothing for England, and his form has dropped off for City. Listen, when he gets a striker, Kane will be, I know Kane said about KDB, but he'll love, and Sterling will love playing with Kane.
Well, Kane missed him tonight. He was
dropping so deep and holding the play up and trying to start stuff and everything. He wasn't the one that was getting ahead of the centre back and balls coming into him, and it was just totally different. That's a good shout, Ronnie, and something we have spoken about so much. 90 minutes so far. It's not 90 minutes, mate, because we didn't come on till about 10 past 10. So, but we're just over an hour. We're going very shortly because we're actually gonna do the England stuff on the Friday Night Social. We're going to cover the England stuff on there. Talk about the England sort of lineup and the squad and everything else and what we think. And there were some comments in the community chat today about which players have missed out. Well, you've watched them tonight, some of those players, like a Lingard, like a Ollie Watkins, and several others, James Ward-Prowse, even though they only got sub appearances. We're going to talk about that on the Friday Night Social. So stick around for that one. Before I go to Pep Caldoun quickly, don't forget, we are going to do a Euro Fantasy Football League. So if you want to join in with that, we're going to get that set up. Ross is going to be involved. Tom's going to be involved. I'm going to be involved. No, not really, because I know I've done it once and it was a nightmare. But we might also, I said to you, we might be working with another company that developed an app for the Euros that they want everyone to get involved with. So we'll do our own, but we'll also do an app one. It's free of charge. You don't have to pay for anything and get involved in it. So we'll let you know before the Euros starts anyway. Maybe next week, once I've had a chance to speak to them. It's been a bit busy this week. But on to the last point before we leave for tonight. Tomorrow night there won't be a vlog tomorrow night because Tom is away on holiday. So, like I said last week, Thursday Night Social or Thursday Night Tom won't be around tomorrow. But we will be back for the Friday Night Social open for everybody to watch. And then I will do some over the weekend. I will do some videos on transfer news, player. I go back to the ones that I did with the Laporte and the Frankie de Jong and those type of players, where I did a breakdown on those players and looked at tactical analysis with Cancelo and everything else. I'll do those. They'll be for the patrons, so you'll be able to watch those. And then maybe in a week's time, I might just release them back onto the channel or little edited clips of them, something like that. But on to Pep. Finally, got Pep and Caldoun's interview. So, Pep, overall, what would you give him?
I'm going to give him an 8.5. We're in 4 competitions. We got to the final of 2, the semi-final of 1, and finished top in the other one. And we came away with 2 trophies. And he's got very high standards. I think for a 10, he wins all 4. For a 9, he wins 3. And that's why I got to 8.5.
Yeah, I think it's a very much high. Mingy Wong, how are you, mate? Michael just says, we can't exchange everybody for Harry Kane. You won't have a team around him and he'll be left when he gets injured. I don't think we were sort of saying Jesus, not exchanging all of those players for Harry Kane. We're just saying, if you were to sell these players, how much would they bring in? But Michael, you've not let me know, did you receive your Sergio Aguero print? Let me know if you did. Scott Carlton rating, did it earlier. Already done it, Charlie. We said a 10 at the beginning. Got to keep up, buddy. Yeah, I'd go for an 8.5. I think he'd be disappointed with the FA Cup final, FA Cup semi-final. He must be disappointed in.
Oh, I was disappointed. That
Champions League as well.
More than the Champions League final.
Yeah, I think he'd be disappointed. And Ronnie said here, 9 for the players for me, let him down. Yeah, and I agree with that, Ronnie. I think the players let him down in that Champions League final. I can't think of one player that turned up. Maybe Walker,
Walker, yeah.
Might have been a 7. But everyone else I would not have given a 6 or more to. And most of them would have given 5 to. I thought most of them were poor on the night. So, it was, I think it's a great season. Jesus Christ. You only have to look at, moving on to next, Caldoun's interview, part 1. I haven't seen its part 2 come out, or is that tomorrow? I can't remember.
Not seen part 2 yet.
I haven't seen part 2 yet. I've been busy all day. If it's out, I know that I've seen some comments on social media about it, but I haven't actually watched it. But he was very cool, calm, and collected, like he normally is. Brilliant, absolutely amazing chairman. And he says, you know, we're not going to stand still, even though we've had a good season. We've got, and he pointed to the to the Carabao Cup and the Premier League title. Of course, he said we would like the Champions League there, but Pep is just like super intense about winning it. He's with us for another 2 years. It was easy. He looked in my eyes, I looked in his eyes, and it was done. That was it. Walked out of the 2-day meeting, and it was done. He's here for another 2 years. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. It is going to be interesting this summer. We are going to talk about summer transfers in the England team on the Friday Night Social. So if you want to come and join us, it's on the main City channel. Is that part 2 is out? Okay. I thought it might have been because I saw a bit on City Extra or something posted some comments, so it may have been out. I've been busy this evening, so I'll have a watch of that and we'll talk about part 2 is better than part 1 in my opinion. There you go. I'll go and have a watch of that before I go to bed. But Friday we will talk about the transfers. We'll talk about transfers for next season and who we think. We'll have some guests on who we think City should realistically be going for, and who might have to go out of the club to get those players in to Man City. So if you want to come on the Friday Night Social, please send us an email to mcfcfantv@gmail.com. mcfcfantv@gmail.com. And if you want to come on, you want to have a chat, you're more than welcome. So it'll be on the Friday Night Social. Don't know at the moment, but I'm sure there'll be plenty of guests on. Will come on anyway. But we haven't got anyone. Ross, are you around Friday?
Yep.
There you go. You got 2 of us on. But no, I think I've got 2 other guests potentially as well on the Friday Night Social. So if you want to come on and join in with us, you're more than welcome. Might be just for 30 minutes, and then we'll have to sort of swap guests around, things like that. But hello, Lag and Sweet. How are you? Hope you're well, mate. Take care, Blues. Ross, thank you very much.
Cheers, Andy.
How's things with you? You okay?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Still here in the UK for just, go back to Oz next Thursday looking like. So obviously a little bit easier for me to do the vlogs at the moment, same time as you guys. But working at stupid hours because I'm obviously still working back home. So no, good to see you. Good to have so many people on commenting at 11:30 at night. I'm still on 8:30 in the morning time. No, it's good to see everyone. And I think trying to get excited about England, but after tonight, and I know we'll chat about it on Friday. Yeah, I mean, I wish I could steal a living, is all I would say.
See you, Dupe. Take care. Jet Lee says, take care, Blues. Hello, we've done that one. Is Chris on the FNS? I'm not sure. Chris is busy. He's gone back to work now full time. So I'm not sure whether he's available or not because he's gone back onto shift work and things. So I have sent him a message. So I'll no doubt talk to him over the next 24 hours. Peace Blues, says Tyrone. Great show, guys. Thank you very much. It was very warm today. It's been pretty warm. All the best to everyone, and you, Stephen. Great to see you, Ross, says Charlie. Latest Blues, says Scott Williams. Bye, everyone, says Ben Cole. Thank you so much, guys. Listen, if you're not a subscriber, I just want to say on subscriptions, thank you so much. We got through the 17,000 subscribers, which was we wanted to do that on the channel before the end of the season. We did do, thanks to Martin's brilliant watch along. And all the hard work from the guys on the channel. 2020-21 season. It's been a tough one. It's been a long one. We feel like we've just been like the players. It's been a long 18 months of last season into this season throughout the summer, and then COVID, and then literally no break, and then straight into this season, and then everything's been every 3 days. And I want to say a massive thank you to everybody who has contributed on the channel. I want to say a massive big thank you, shout out to Martin for coming back and finishing the season with Man City Fan TV. Really want to thank him for that. Yeah, he did a great job on it. Martin might be going on to do sort of his own thing in the future, but he's got some family stuff with his mum and everything else that he wants to do. So, he needs to do so. He wants some family time, and well-deserved family time. He's done an amazing job on that. Chris is back to work, and this is the problem. Everyone is now suddenly going back to work because we're out of COVID times now. So I'm going back to work, and everyone else is going back to work. But we will still be bringing you loads of stuff on Man City Fan TV for free, and we'll be doing loads of stuff for the patrons on transfer news and all sorts of stuff. But thank you. If you're not a subscriber, talk too much tonight. Hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon, give it a like if you want to, a thumbs up before you go. And print received, Andy. Thanks a lot. Brilliant. Looking for a frame. Yeah, that's brilliant. But thank you. I always worry when I send these things out and I don't hear from people thinking, have they got it? Have they still got it? They think I've not sent it and things like that. For some of the guys on the channel, the scarves I ordered, the Istanbul scarves, obviously. I chased them up yesterday on Twitter, went, hey, hold on a minute. About 4 or 5 weeks ago, I ordered some scarves, Istanbul scarves. Obviously, I've not received them. Are you doing them anymore? And I don't really want them if that's the case, because it was now important. Anyway, she kind of came back and said, don't worry, Andy, we'll cancel the order and we'll do whatever. But I have got some of the stuff coming. But anyway, listen, take care. Ross, you've got an early start. I've got an early start. But I want to say thank you to everyone who's come on tonight. And before you go, if you haven't given it a thumbs up, give it a thumbs up. We'll be back on Friday for the Friday night social. Please come along. It's free for everybody this week. And like I said, I am going to be doing some transfer news videos, player profiles on some of the players that we've been with that will be on the Patreon channel. So if you're not a patron, you can go over and join Patreon. If not, don't worry about it. We'll show you some clips in the future of those particular videos. But take care. See you, Ross.
See you, mate. See you on Friday. See you, everyone. Stay safe out there. And big love to everyone back in Melbourne who's just had the lockdown extended for another 7 days at least. Full lockdown. So my missus is locked away there with Charlie City. But he was running around in his city top still, so that's good. But yeah, so stay safe, guys, because it can soon go bad.
Yeah, it can. Well, listen, Sandy from Man City Fan TV. Take care. Thanks everyone tonight. Really appreciate it. It's good to be back on. We needed a few days just away from it. I must admit, I wasn't on social media. I wasn't listening to Talk Sport. I wasn't watching football. I didn't want anything to do with football. I just went and played golf and just sort of took my mind off. Playing talking about football because after Saturday night it was pretty disappointing. But take care, stay safe, everyone, and as usual, we will definitely see you soon on Friday night for the Friday Night Social. See you soon.